Okay, while we're in this rain delay, we'll use this time to have a conversation with Rich Evans of the BBF. Rich, obviously, firstly, how are yourself?
I'm good. I've been lucky. I've got a raincoat and an umbrella, and it's really sad actually because it's such a good game that we've got these rain delays.
Yes, it is the sad facts of life, sadly, for playing baseball in the United Kingdom and playoffs happening at the end of the season, which means it's September. But yes, obviously, I'd love to chat with you, like, all your thoughts, obviously, so far on kind of like how this season has been for like British baseball. Obviously, like, I think at the start of the season, you were out there in Phoenix for the WBC. So just give us kind of like a little bit of your thoughts and feels on how that tournament went.
It was amazing. If you're a baseball fan, even if you're sitting at home or being in Phoenix, it was such a great competition to watch. GB compete and beat Colombia, and obviously automatically qualify for the next one. But really the thing I took away from it was obviously the standard of the facilities there, and I think we've got a lot to learn from places like the Milwaukee Brewers spring training facility and what they have, and what the Kansas City Royals have in their spring training facility. We took a lot away about that, but also it was the fans, from not only the ones that came out from GB, but the Mexican fans were just amazing. American fans, once we'd hit a home run in the first inning of the first game, sort of changed their tune about British baseball. And it was a real festival of baseball with people from around the world with their own style, their own culture. And it was just great. And if people can get there for the next one, just go, because it's just a fantastic event.
Yes, and so that GB team is obviously for then. Coming up in just over a week's time, the GB team will be taking part in the Euros. Is there what do you think is what is the aim for like the British team coming into the European Championships into the Czech Republic?
Knowing the coaching team, they'll be wanting to win it, and I don't think we would expect any less attitude from them. They've been to the WBC, they've got a lot of experience under their belt. They're going to be playing some really good teams, but they will be wanting to win it, and I think they expect to do that, and we expect them to do it. But whatever happens, they'll be putting up a really great performance and showing that actually there's some really good British baseball players around the world who are coming together to play for GB, and that means a lot to them, and it means a lot to us.
Yep, and so just from on the other national point of view, from the women's side, we've obviously Piero Cesare was coming in as the new coach. What do you kind of like hope from as the BBF hope for the direction that takes like women's baseball in the UK?
Well, the women's baseball in the UK has taken off, and there's a lot more women playing baseball, and we need to find a way to really bring the women who are playing baseball week in, week out for clubs. How can we bring them together so that they get maximum benefit from it? And if they're playing for the mixed adult teams on a Sunday as part of the AA, single A, triple A, whichever level they're at, that has to be a good thing. But we need to make sure that we get as many women into the game as possible, at whatever level suits them. And I know we'll be looking at it in the off-season to see how best we can structure a season so that we get so many women playing. And then that feeds into the GB team, into the coaching team. They've had the experience of the Euros last year, I think it was, and we need to take that forward. We've seen, France qualified for the World Championships this year. They're playing, and I have no doubt that the aim will be to make sure we get a GB women's team playing and winning in Europe, and playing and winning on a world stage.
Yep. So obviously we're coming to the end of the season here, like in the United Kingdom with British baseball. Today was hopefully going to be the finals days for single A, double A, and triple A, as well as then having the women's finals next Saturday. How do you feel like this season as a whole has kind of like gone for British baseball and for the BBF?
I think it's actually been a really good season. Actually, we've had some really close contests in all the divisions across the country. They've all gone down to the wire in a lot of cases, which shows that there is quality spreading throughout all the teams. It's not just one team winning it year after year, although the London Mets have won it 6 times on the trot at the NBL level. But and I think that shows a real strength, and I think we've seen more people take it up. We've seen more people sign up to play. We've seen new teams appear, which has to be good. And I think what has been really good is that we've begun to get more umpires on board. There's more people that have gone through the level 6 at the bottom level, more people going through the level 5. We need umpires. They're a vital part of the game. We've started at some sort of coaching program. We've really through the work that we did in Phoenix to make contact with people over there, and I know that there's some plans for later on this year to get some coaches over to give players the chance to go and work with some high quality American coaches from a player point of view. We've seen the Summer Cup, which I think was a great success despite the weather.
Yes, the Saturday was very similar today, but the Sunday cleared up and allowed the games to be played out and have some finals be played, which was fantastic.
I think one of the good things about that is that we were able to see, Scotland brought a team, Ireland brought a team, we had teams from Liverpool, we had teams from across the country we would never see. And I think one thing that's really been beneficial is, the work that Tom Thornhill, the outgoing president, has done in trying to make sure that we're all under the same roof in some form. So the organisational affiliation, as he calls it, where Manchester, Liverpool, teams in the north are all now affiliated in some form of the BBF. And hopefully, what we'd like to see is, what I would like to see anyway, is the teams from the north, if you like, playing in these BBF national championships every year, so that Liverpool, who won it this year, will be playing in a playoff game against whoever it is, and showing how good they are. And I think we need that because there's a lot of talent in other parts of the country.
Yeah, I think we'll just kind of end on a few words for the outgoing president, like Tom Thornhill of the BBF. I think there's been a lot of positive change in the last couple of years under Tom's leadership. So yeah, just give us your final thoughts on where that's been and what is the next step for the BBF.
Tom, I've been involved with the BBF since last November. And I think Tom has done a real extraordinary job as president, bearing in mind where the BBF was when he took over, and his work. To be honest, I don't know how many hours he has in his day. What he does, not only he has a day job, but all the work he's done behind the scenes, talking to people, talking to clubs, talking to BSUK, working with them, working with GB. Working with the European side of it. He's done a phenomenal job and actually put in place, I think, what is a really good foundation so that the new president, the new board, can take forward some of the things he's put in place. It's on a much sounder footing than it was, without a doubt. And I think initiatives like the Summer Cup are really good, and moving towards better communication with clubs, getting them more involved, getting a lot more engagement. And really putting in place systems, and I hate to use that word, where the BBF functions as a proper national governing body. We have standing orders and rules and regulations we have to stick to quite rightly. And Tom really being the architect of making sure that the BBF works in a proper way. And it's not just, although we are just a collection of volunteers, it's more than that. We are the national governing body and we have to work like that.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo those words from my experience of being here as a player and as a fan of the British national team, and what has occurred with British baseball. We definitely have taken a step forwards, and we'll look to see, and we'll be looking forward to see what can happen under the guise of other individuals, for the people who are still on that board and still do things for BBF. So from me, and hopefully from the rest of British baseball, people, thank you, Richard, to you yourself, and thank you on to others who've been part of British baseball this year. I think it's been a wonderful year and one to really progress on. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for the work you do with Batflips. It's all stoking the fires of baseball fans across the country. So keep it up.
All right, cheers. And we'll be back to you once we've determined what the end of this delay, when or when it will be. We'll tell you if the game gets called or if there's another time for when we might get some continuation. We'll be back to you shortly.